Welcome to day 6 of the Self-Love Challenge series on Wife Teacher Mommy, the podcast. We are going to look at what you love and value and how to fit more of that into your life. So let's go. Welcome to the Self-Love Challenge series on Wife Teacher Mommy, the podcast. I'm your host, Kelsey Sorensen, a former teacher, current homeschool mom, and a certified life coach. Whether you teach in a traditional classroom or from your kitchen table, I'm here to help you not only survive, but thrive as an educator. Let's go on a self-love journey over these next 14 days so you can pour some of that same love you give to your kids, your families, your communities, to somebody who deserves it just as much, yourself. To get started with the free Self-Love Challenge, I recommend starting from the first episode and listening through each day. But to get the full challenge experience, go to wifeteachermommy.com/self-love-challenge to register for free to get the scorecard to track your progress, a daily email with the link to your audio coaching lesson, and your journal prompt. It is free and registering will get you more support with the challenge. Now let's get to today's coaching lesson. Welcome back, my teacher friend, to day 6 of the Self-Love Challenge here on Wife Teacher Mommy, the podcast. I am so glad you're here. I'm so glad you've been up to the challenge. You are almost halfway through it. You are doing amazing things. I am so proud of you. Today is going to look a little bit different than the previous 5 days here on the Self-Love Challenge, in that more of the work is going to be writing in your journal and these questions that I'm asking you. And I'm going to read them here on the show and kind of talk through them a little bit with you. But the real work is going to come and you really diving in. If you're multitasking right now, you can start thinking about the answers as I share the questions and share my thoughts on them. But I really would love for you to get out your journal and write down the answers to these questions. And these questions are based on a call that I did back in December 2023 with my Wife Teacher Mommy Club members. It was one of our most powerful calls I feel like we've had. We had several members be like, we need to have more like introspective calls like this. This was so powerful, and all the things they were saying. I asked all of these questions and more on that call since we just have more time on our coaching calls. We have about like 45 minutes. And I had to condense it down to just 10 minutes for this challenge. But we brainstormed together and the connection was beautiful and seeing all of their answers. So would love to get a mini version of that with this challenge. We have the 10-minute Cliff Notes version here on the podcast. I want to give you some time to reflect on these questions and write them down in your journal, and make sure to join the conversation on social media where we will be able to discuss them together. And it is really worth it to take some time to ponder these questions. It's really going to help you tap into your true wants and desires that are within you that you might not quite realize.
The coaching inside Wife Teacher Mommy is top notch. The club has certified life coaches who are specifically designed to help teachers. So whether you're homeschool or a public school teacher, you're able to benefit from these sessions. And there's at least 1 to 2 live sessions per week. And in the coaching calls, they teach you a model. And the model actually teaches you how to deal with your circumstances, and it helps you with your thoughts and how they affect your feelings and how your feelings affect your actions and then your results. And even if you're not the one being coached, you're always going to find value, because we all have a set of shared experiences as teachers, and we all have similar feelings and emotions about our circumstances. So I always find value when I am in a coaching call, whether or not I'm the one being coached or if I'm listening to other people coach. The community and Wife Teacher Mommy is what keeps me coming back for more. This is not a subscribe and forget about it club. The Wife Teacher Mommy team comes together each month to create ways for their members to engage with the content in the club. So it might be a gift card for coming to a live coaching session, or it might be a book giveaway or a laminator giveaway for engaging in the social media platforms, or even listening to the podcast. There's always something to do in the Wife Teacher Mommy Club.
So here is the first question. What is one thing that is working really well in your life right now? Now, this is just to kick it off, because I always like to start with the gain. Like we talked about the gap, which is where we're looking at, oh, we're right here and we just need to get here and we're always moving that goalpost. I want to look at how far have you already come? What is the one thing that's working really well? Let's look at what's working first so we can start from that place. So what is one thing that's working really well in your life right now with your self-love, with your teaching, with just in general in your life? Because self-love is connected with everything, right? So think about that. Write down at least one thing. It can be more than one thing if you want. Now, the next question, and this is one where I really want you to focus your energy on for a bit with each of these. What do you love? And I want you for this to tap into all 5 of your senses. So what do you love to taste? What are some things that you love to taste? And how much of those do you have in your life? What do you love to see? Do you love to see the mountains? Do you love to see the beach? Do you love to see the smiles on your kids' faces when you surprise them with something fun or when you do a really engaging activity with your class? What do you love to touch, to feel, to hear? Write as much as you possibly can for each of these and really tap into that. Do you love to hear the sound of the ocean? Do you love to hear a certain style of music? Do you love to hear the sound of your old truck starting up? That's one for me for sure. Like, write as much as you possibly can. Tap into your senses. Take some time to think on it because it's not something that we really think about very often. So once you've written all of those down, I want you to think about how are you currently making room for some of these things in your life? Because again, we want to look at how you already are and the ways that we might not even think of these little everyday pleasures that we want to look at and start enjoying them more. That is going to help us tap into the feeling of love for ourselves, love for everyone and everything around us. So celebrate that. The next question I want to ask is, how can you make more room for these things in your life? What are some of the things you wrote down that you're like, oh, I love the taste of my homemade chocolate chip cookies. When is the last time I actually made them, for example? Or I love to hear Taylor Swift music, and yet I never turn on music anymore. Like, how simple of a thing would that be to add back in to like just hit play on your favorite music more often? That's one that I recently realized for myself. Okay, I need to put on the music more often. Why am I not doing that? And it was an easy thing to incorporate back into my life. And another part of that question and the how can you make more room for these things is what do you maybe need to let go of to make some more room for those things? Like, where is it that you're maybe putting too much pressure on yourself or that doesn't matter as much, that you're like, that didn't fit into any of these categories and yet it's taking up this much of my time? So that's the flip side of that question that you can reflect on as well. Okay, the next question is, what are your top values? When I asked this question, a lot of people in the comments in our Wife Teacher Mommy Club call shared that their top values were love, faith, integrity, honesty, time with their family, things like that. What are your top values? And how are these things currently reflected in your life? So if you look at it and you're like, oh, my faith is really important to me, but I'm not doing as much with that. That's just interesting to note, right? Or time with my family is so important to me. And yet you find that you are staying late after work. And then when you're with your kids, you're physically present, but you're not fully mentally present because you're thinking of your running to-do list. Maybe you're not as present with your family, even though family is like one of your very top values. So it's just really important to think about these things, what your values are, how are they currently reflected in your life, and how are they not? So we want to look at how they are too. Like maybe you're like, I'm doing an amazing job on the weekends, like really shutting down the work and the spending time or the teaching and spending time with my family. But then maybe you're like, but maybe on the weekdays I'm not. So look at both sides. Look at the way you are and the way you currently are not. So make sure to reflect on these questions and we will send them your way as well. And they are all in the journal file. If you upgraded the VIP version of this challenge or joined us in Wife Teacher Mommy Club, you'll have that really cute journal that you can write in. If you are not, then just write it in any journal. I really want you to think about and ponder these questions. Get out your journal, think on them, write as detailed of answers as you can. And you might be like, oh, I don't need to do that. I can just think of it while I'm like, I'm driving around right now. But it'll make a big difference if you take the time to really write down. It'll make a big difference if you take the time to just actually hand write the answers out to these questions. I promise it will be worth it. And especially tomorrow, we're going to circle back and we're going to use what you write down over the next few days to really cultivate making sure that these things, your things you love and your values are in your life. That is it for today's challenge, but I will see you tomorrow for episode 7 or day 7. You are going to be halfway through this challenge, 14-day challenge, day 7. You will be halfway there. Don't stop now. You've got the momentum. So I will see you here tomorrow. Thank you for participating in our self-love challenge. For the complete challenge experience, make sure to go to wifeteachermommy.com/self-love challenge to get the scorecard and a daily email with each of the journal prompts for free. And if you're enjoying this challenge, please consider sharing the love by sharing that same link, wifeteachermommy.com/self-love challenge, with a teacher friend or a homeschool friend or all of the people you know who might be interested in this free resource. We have a mission to help as many educators as possible, whether they teach children in a classroom or in their living rooms, to not only survive as an educator, but to thrive in teaching and life. This challenge has been brought to you by Wife Teacher Mommy Club, my signature coaching program created especially for teachers and homeschool parents. Inside the club, you can join us for weekly live life coaching with me and fellow club coaches, VIP access to our summer and winter Educate and Rejuvenate conferences, a library of resources to save you time, and even a private podcast feed where you'll get to listen to every single coaching call we've ever done, all the Educate and Rejuvenate sessions, and so much more. If you love this challenge, why not spend just a few minutes checking it out and seeing if it's right for you? It may just be the ultimate gift of self-love that you could give yourself, because it'll help you take what you've learned in this challenge from the 2x level to the 10x level. So go to wifeteachermommy.com/club to learn more. I would love to see you there, but either way, I will keep seeing you right here on Wife Teacher Mommy, the podcast. If you are listening to this right now, that means you listened all the way to the tail end of this episode, even after the outro. And if you want more where this podcast is coming from, I've got you. If you are hearing this message right now, that means you still have time to grab our limited time offer to join us in Wife Teacher Mommy Club for just $14 for your first month in a celebration of the release of our self-love challenge. For the month of February 2024, you can get your first month of the club for just $14 instead of the normal $37 for your first month. This is a great way to try out the club and see if it's right for you, all while getting lots more support during the self-love challenge. You'll be able to come to our coaching calls and ask your questions, get personalized support from me and fellow Wife Teacher Mommy Club coaches. And if you decide to join us on the annual plan, you're all in and you're going to join us for a year, you'll get an even bigger discount plus some exclusive February-only swag, including a planner and a teacher tee. So go to wifeteachermommy.com/club to learn more about the club and see all that it has to offer. Going to check out the sales page is not a firm commitment, so just go check it out and see if it's for you. It just might be the ultimate gift of self-love that you could give yourself. I hope to see you on the next coaching call inside Wife Teacher Mommy Club.